So
Yeah. Sick. So we got Charlie Sturgis, 72-year-old Park City legend.
71.
71.
It will be 71.
When's the birthday?
February 10th.
February 10th. So coming up on 71. I
Yeah, and happy
apologize.
birthday.
Thank you. Today is my birthday.
Woohoo!
The ripe old age of 33.
Yeah, I'm like your great-great-grandfather. At least in Utah.
Yeah. In Utah standards, you could be my great-grandfather.
I could be your great-great-great-grandfather.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. So I just want to talk to you today just kind of about you're still doing cool shit. When I'm 70 going on 71, my goal is I want to be doing cool shit. So the whole thought model behind kind of interviewing you and your peers is if I die tomorrow or if I die when I'm 100, I still want to be doing cool stuff until about the day before I die. So have you lived your life to be able to be sitting here? We just climbed for a couple hours of momentum.
first time for us together.
First time we climbed together.
Fun.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
pretty cool.
We trained together a little.
Yeah, we done a little gym stuff.
Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah, so let's talk about what are you still doing in the mountains? What are you still doing just kind of actively? And just take it from there.
Okay, so first off, let's just start. At 62, okay, this is kind of my thing. You enter the age of full entitlement.
Sick.
Okay, right. But I
Something to look forward
mean, you know, on a national basis, on a federal basis, you know, you get your national parks card, and at 65 you get your Social Security or Medicare, and you know, so you're entering this period of time. But also from a personal point of view, I sort of joke that in climbing, I go, well, everything's an on-site now, right? Because I don't know that I have a memory to remember the last time I was on it, right?
Yeah.
But I do think it's important to realize that. You're entering this age that doesn't say that you have to quit.
Mm-hmm.
You just maybe have to be a little smarter, I think is the thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, okay, so back to your first question. I still rock climb.
Yep.
I'm still mountain biking, although sometimes I think that sport's almost at my age getting almost a little dangerous.
Yeah.
Or I've been doing it too long. I mean, I've been doing it since like 1983. And
It's a couple of years.
and I still backcountry ski, I still skate ski, and I still ski on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm out and about a lot,
Yeah.
and I think really trying to have a ton of fun at this age, and getting here in one piece, as we've talked a little bit, and not exactly in one piece all the time, but
Yeah.
being smarter and getting to this, at least entering the age of full entitlement without too many injuries.
Yeah.
You'd be smarter than I am if you do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, still climbing hard 5'11s, like at the gym, like that's 70 years old, and that's it's an accomplishment.
My goal is still a little higher.
So just get a little better
I
each time.
just really, I never actually hit that 512 level outside or inside.
Okay.
I mean, I climbed probably 11CD outside.
Yeah.
Just never actually just kept the momentum going enough to actually make that 12 mark. So I'm still, and whether I make it or not, I'm not going to stress about.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important about
Totally.
how we pursue our athletic or recreational time at a higher age, is that don't get too stressed about it, because that's how you get hurt, right? So
I think that's a lesson kind of even for like young adults. So coming into where I'm at, when I was 18, yeah, I'm going to beat you. That's kind of the mindset, or I'm going to send it.
yeah.
And now, even inside, even outside, there'll be a move where it's like a big dyno to like a weird shoulder position, and I'll kind of go for it. I'm like, that felt bad. It's probably better to skip that move. I'm gonna pull through and then finish the route.
I have a lot of fourth place finishes in races.
Yeah.
Fourth, fifth, and a lot of it is, do I really want to enter the pain cave as badly as the guy in front of me?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Totally.
I'm not taking it that serious, and you're still there showing up, so and it's for fun, So don't, for the most part, we're not in the money, so it doesn't really matter.
Totally. And I think that's important to remember, kind of across the spectrum. The things that I know are true for longevity are the more muscular mass you can put on and maintain up through your 80s, the better your 80s and 90s are going to be. And with a lot of the mountain sports, it's how light, how small can you get, because gravity is not your friend in most of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So at some point, we have to make a conscious decision. Are we more interested in really high performance or really good performance and a body that's more robust and more resilient. So I'm floating around 195, 200, which is kind of excessive for rock climbing. But I can get down to 170, but then I stack up more injuries, like really consistently. And my sweet spot's probably 185, 190, and injuries aren't as prevalent. So the decisions we make around how we play affect how long we can play. I think is a good bit of wisdom I've learned from talking to a lot of people in your position.
I absolutely agree. And that's we were talking about this a little bit when we were climbing today. Is I think particularly now, and I sort of wish I'd come to this a little sooner. Maybe at 60 or 55. Back when I got my ARP card right at 55.
Maybe that's
is that basically going to 80% is great, but you really and as I was joking, go 80% unless your life depends on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in one sense, going hard too much too often is going to come back and bite you somewhere along the line. And I think you can still be operating at a high performance level, just gotta maybe do it a little bit smarter than I did it, back then, so and we certainly have the ability to learn more and blog stuff and all this. Then when I started climbing in the 70s, you just went and climbed.
Try hard.
Just kind of like So anyhow, there's so much information available, and there's so much good guidance on how to move through the 40s, 50s, 60s, and actually successfully go into the fourth quarter of life and be fully in the high performance mode.
Yeah, and I think that's really smart. We're pretty aligned on that. Even with me at 33, and I work with. We got 170 people at the gym right now. The message we put out is 2 hard things a week. So it's not exactly the 80% effort, but it's same theme. Like most of the stuff you do should be fun, feel good, be challenging. And challenging is fine, but you should not redline. You should not perform at your highest possible level every time you go out.
Yeah,
you're gonna lose.
Well, here I don't know if I've shared this with you, and this might be an insult to your professional training background. But one thing that if I'm really doing things right and trying to kind of keeping things on the schedule correctly, I go to the gym a reasonable amount, work with weights. I think it helps really balance out any specific sport activities you're doing.
Yeah.
But I basically have what I call Charlie's No Sweat workout. I mean, my goal is literally not to break a sweat.
Yeah.
But you can go through an entire workout and quickly and move the needle up without having to bust ass all the time.
100%. And that's not insulting. I actually wish more people had that thought independently, because there's two sides of the coin in training. I'm sure there's more, but let's keep it simple. We're either breaking down the body to try to really build it up, so we're expending health. If we're a bucket on our hard training days, we're expending health, so we're taking health out of the system. On the flip side, we can do a no sweat workout and we're putting health back in the system, so we can train the body to perform better. And typically performance training is going to be you're suffering a little, and we can also train the body to function better. And that's what you're talking about with that no sweat workout. We're just getting everything to move. We're making sure the muscles are stimulated, the heart's moving, getting a little blood flow. And you leave and you're like, I feel better than I did when I got here. And those are really valuable workouts.
And I do balance it, so I keep it. I'm simple-minded, right? For the most part.
It's the best way to be.
But my little workout is basically a group of 3 exercises: upper, core, lower, and I go high rep, low effort, and then I come back to low rep, high effort, and I just repeat those 3 things, right?
Yeah.
And I'm always sort of able to stand in the same place in the gym. So when I do 12 exercises like that and do 2 sets, I can still get out of there in 45 minutes and go, I'm for the day. Let's go.
Yep, that's perfect.
And that's all I need. And I can certainly find improvement, like doing pull-ups and stuff and dips. I can go, if I go to the gym today, I might be able to do 5 pull-ups or something, right? But if I do that kind of workout for 2 weeks, maybe 6-7 times from the start, I can be back to 10 or 15 pull-ups.
Yeah.
And I still haven't had a brick of sweat. So
Yeah, and
it's
you
okay.
haven't hammered yourself.
Yeah, and I haven't changed my diet, and I haven't,
Yeah.
done anything. I haven't done much of anything other than show up.
Mm-hmm. And what you're saying is the most important piece of all of this is consistency.
Yeah.
Like if you took a month off, life's going to be a lot harder when you try to reset, especially at 70.
I sort of have it into my little training thing that for every day you miss, you have 2 to make up.
Yeah.
And it's not because once again you're going hard, but you need to go.
You got to go.
So even if you show up and stretch, you showed up.
Yep.
Right. But if you just skip, it gets like it builds on itself, and even if you don't feel like doing much of anything, at least stretching is kind of just lay down on a mat.
Yeah. Try the starfish.
Well, I do a thing where afternoon nap is, and that's always been kind of a 30-minute chill thing at 3 in the afternoon. I put my legs up on the wall, and sometimes I fall asleep. Sometimes I'm just listening to music. Sometimes I'm checking my email. It doesn't really matter, but I've kind of reversed gravity on my body and just kind of let the blood flow differently, and it's worth doing.
There's absolute value in that.
Yeah.
I tell people, I actually tell my wife this a lot too.
I'm sure she appreciates it.
She loves it.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like training and it's supposed to be a training day and you're not like physically ill, go to the gym and go through your warm up and then start your first exercise. And if by the time you do like your first set on your first exercise, you're still like, this sucks, bump out. Like it's not in the cards today. That's fine, but you still showed up, did a warm up, which there's value for recovery there, and then you're like, no, I really don't need to do this today. I probably 8 out of 10 times where I'm like, I don't think I should train today. I do the warm up. I'm like, it's in there. Yeah. And sometimes I do the warm up. I'm like, no, I think I really should go home and take a nap.
It's it's funny. We talk about being a little bit similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
In thinking, and even though we're multiple decades apart, but I tell my wife this kind of the same thing. I go, if it doesn't feel like a good run, 10 minutes into it, take a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Stop.
Yeah, 100%.
And I a funny story, just a quickie for climbing. I was out climbing in the drywall last year or something, and I got on a route that I've done a dozen plus times. I basically ended up flailing the entire thing, stick clipping my entire way up, right? I mean, this is just like a warm-up route.
Yeah.
And I think I did what is most important to remember in kind of pursuing our athletics in the fourth quarter is I basically walked away from it and said, yep, I'm going to belay and I'm going to TR stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have no major efforts because obviously it ain't working.
It's not there
whatever. I got to this day, I can't tell you what was going on, but it was like just so pathetic. I was just like, and the guy I was with was like, aren't you upset? I go, nope.
No.
I'm not getting upset about it. I'm just gonna walk away from it.
Still outside, still doing it.
Yeah, I'm still outside. Yeah. Exactly. I'm still outside. I'm happy to catch you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna climb some more, but I'm just gonna be a TR boy and a player.
Yeah, I mean that's a perfect mindset. It's just like appreciate that you can still get outside and do all these cool things. There's a lot of people. So we're both from the Midwest, Chicago, I'm Ohio. I could point you to 50 people I personally know that are in their 60s that couldn't make the hike in to climb at American Fork. They're just too unstable, just whatever. So, yeah, man, you've done something right, which is cool.
Yeah.
But what I want to talk about this too, because from what we're talking about so far, anybody that doesn't know you is like, wow, man, he's just so lucky. Like he can still do all of this. I think it's interesting to share, like, what are you dealing with in terms of, like, health and the body and still making the choice to have a high quality of life? Because there's plenty of excuses that you could conjure up to say, my body just can't handle this anymore.
You did see my T-shirt, right?
Which one?
This one, all right?
Age is the reason, not the excuse. The Book of Charlie.
I
like it. I
okay,
didn't see that earlier. Yeah.
I'm not sure you're paying attention when you're playing. Okay.
I wasn't reading.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about, we got a knee thing, a shoulder thing, a couple other things. Like, share what you want to.
Okay. Well, first off, I want to be completely transparent and tell you that by the time you go on Medicare, I will have used it up. Right. So you're screwed. You're screwed already.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You're screwed. I mean, I've had injuries all over. I mean, basically ACL, hernias, broken ribs. I could be doing my third rotator cuff. I've broken my thumb in 5 places, my collarbone in a couple of places, blah, 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 broken, so.
You got a list.
Yeah, I got a list. In fact, sometimes, every once in a while when I was re-upping my first aid course stuff, for guiding, I would be sitting and go, oh yeah, I did that too. You go, oh. So I think the biggest thing is when I tore my ACL years and years and years ago, I knew I was going to end up being in the gym for a bit, and you can be completely bummed out. I should have been bummed. I blew it on the first turn of 2 weeks in Europe. Right, I was getting on the hot route and everything, and literally the first turn I just blew the ACL. Yeah. So I had all sorts of reasons to be kind of just trashed about it, and I sat there and went, no, I'm gonna basically go back to what I used to do in high school or in college, which was I would do 100 pull-ups and 100 dips in a half an hour. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't, because my ACL, I'm going to be there for my ACL exercises anyhow, and I was just like, well, my else is just do the upper body thing.
Yeah.
And literally, I got back at 53 years of age. I got back to doing 35 pull-ups at one time.
Sick.
Yeah, and I couldn't quite get it into a half an hour, but I got it into an hour.
Yeah.
And about 3 weeks later, I got hit by a dog on my bike, and I broke my collarbone in 2 places, and my thumb in 5. So I really never got to test drive that fitness on climbing again, which was about a drag. Because when I climbed in Yosemite early on, I was doing 100 pull-ups every day. Yeah. Right. That was kind of my fitness thing around the house. So it was kind of a fun goal. But I think the most important thing is that when you get hurt, it's about how you punt. Yep. Right. Mm-hmm. And once again, you don't have to go hard, but you got to show. Yep. And there's some injuries that are harder to punt around. Like when I herniated my belly button, it was like they just want you to sit still. Mm-hmm. It's like crazy. But I think just figuring out what the punt is. Yeah. I almost never go to spin classes. But after I got hit by this dog, and literally I broke the collarbone in 2 places, my thumb in 5 places, right? So I'm basically disarmed at that point. So I just went to spin classes and spun no-handed. Yeah, perfect. But you'll appreciate this. But I did spin no-handed with my hand squeezer, which I could work with my broken thumb. Yeah. So I just spin and just squeeze and squeeze.
Keep it moving.
I'm going to be climbing sometime soon. Here we go. Yeah. So I think it's really important to think about the punt as much as any single thing you can do. How can I just get the most out of my day without messing up my injury?
Yeah, so we're more similar than we know. I've blown out both shoulders, had full surgical repair of both labrums, and both times my mode was like, all right, this arm has to be pretty mellow, or this one, depending on which time. But I had a rotation. I would lunge a mile once. I don't recommend this. I think it's objectively stupid. But I was in college, and my brain wasn't fully developed.
Young and dumb.
Yeah. So I'd lunge a mile one day. The next day I'd hop on the elliptical for an hour. The next day I would do 100 GHD sit-ups and 100 GHD hamstring curls. And the next day I'd get back on the elliptical, and then I'd restart. And I did that for basically 6 weeks until I was able to start doing some light stuff with my arm and could move around a little bit better and stuff. So yeah, an injury is an opportunity to play and train differently. Yeah, I think is a really healthy mindset, because otherwise you're on the couch for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. Then it's really hard to get back off the couch.
And you don't want to do that. I mean, it's not good at any time, but in the 50, 60, 70 category where building muscle mass is harder than losing it.
Oh, absolutely.
The loss of muscle mass and the loss of endurance goes so quickly. Mm-hmm. It's actually sometimes mind-boggling. Yeah. You put all this time in, and all of a sudden you get sick for a few days, and you're like, oh, I'm starting over. Yeah. Right? And so, but I think yeah, persevering and learning. You know, like you said, I think you get insight in some other things you can do. Like right now, I'm kind of dealing with this rotator cuff, and I'm really trying to avoid surgery, so I'm doing all these different exercises for it, which some of them I go, wow, I should have been doing these a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's really pretty cool, and it's kind of drawing me back into doing things that maybe I was neglecting, and yeah, it's kind of fun. And it's kind of fun to see what maybe isn't as strong as you think it is or should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's humbling. You're like,
Yes,
"Ooh, that
yeah,
should be easier than it is."
And it's only the pink weight.
Yeah.
That's
Totally. That's pretty cool. So the message there is you're going to have injuries. You're going to see doctors. It's your choice if it's a heart doctor or an orthopedic surgeon.
yeah.
Honestly, there's no way to avoid the medical scene. It's just the way humans are. But I'd rather see the orthopedist than the cardiologist every day.
Yeah.
Shifted a little bit. We've kind of established you've been consistently playing in the mountains for a couple of years.
Yeah, for a few years.
Few years.
Long time.
So I think it's really interesting to talk to all different types of people that have hit their 70s and are still doing it. Like, what were you doing, let's say 30s on? Like, kind of what was your work-life balance? Were you playing a lot? Were you working a lot? You had your own business. It was successful. That's cool.
And I was really fortunate. Okay, so if there's any one great thing I can say I'm truly fortunate and thankful for in life is my entire business career was focused on the outdoor industry.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a business owner, as a guide, or whatever. So it basically did allow me a lot of time, or I made time out. Yeah, because that was part of keeping up our expertise, as you know, as a guiding organization, a bike shop, and things like that. So I have been blessed that way, and I guess where were we going with this?
Well, how many employees did you have, kind of at the height of it?
50 and at a high point.
All right. So right now I have 3 full-time employees and 4 part-time employees. So that's 7, and I own a gym. And it would be easier a lot of days to not go out and play than to just go to work and keep getting things done. Because, like, you know, the punch list never ends.
Yeah.
It only gets bigger. And so what I'm finding now is every year as we've expanded, the amount of things that require my attention grow. But I've been really strict on, like, hey, Thursdays, that's my day. I'm not going to the gym and actually coaching. I worked this morning before we climbed. I'll work tonight before I go to bed, but I'm climbing with you. My buddy's going to meet us here in a little bit, and we're going up to Alta skiing.
Yep.
And so you've got to intentionally create that lifestyle if that's important to you. Because it's easy to look and be like, oh, you work in the outdoor industry. Of course you play it all the time. 50 employees is a lot of employees.
It's a lot of people to be
It's a lot going on. Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of, you know, so... Yeah, I mean, people go, yeah, you know, oh man, that must be a cool job. I go, yeah, every day I wake up, I owe $500,000 to somebody, right? Because I got a store full of inventory and employees and all this. But you know what my aha moment was? So when we started in Park City in 1986 or 85, we had a really lousy year. I had all these employees. It was super stressful. We weren't making any money. And kind of somewhere in the course of that year, that winter, I took with me to the next winter the idea that I am not going to be in the ski business and not ski. Simple as that.
Yeah.
It was just like, if I can't participate in these things that I'm selling, the experience, I'm doing all this stuff, and I find great enjoyment in doing, and I'm not doing it, I'm just sitting here selling it, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I literally just, I mean, I can remember almost like this aha moment back in 1986 going, nope, not doing it this way.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it was because it was no good was going to come from the way I was, you know, I mean, we were under a lot of pressure, a lot of things going on, right? And everybody has that.
100%.
So, but cutting it out, like you say, whether you got to get up early to do it or just stay, whatever it takes.
Make it work.
Yeah, make it work. Put it in there, yeah.
So, for me, the lesson has been, like I've had a couple of shitty things happened in the last couple of weeks where I was supposed to go for a tour on Thursday. I'm like, man, I really got to address that, and I'm worked up, don't sleep well the night before, and I wake up and I'm like, no, like, go for the tour, and then while I'm on the tour, you're outside of it, your brain works a little bit differently, and you're like, oh, that's how we can solve that, and then that afternoon go to the gym, like, hey guys, what if we do it this way? And like, oh, that's a great idea. And so it seems like things work themselves out if you're able to step back from your work. But I think that's true if you own a business, if you're an employee in a business, like no matter what your responsibilities are, if you don't take some time to do the thing that makes you tick, which for us I would say is probably climbing and skiing are the two big ones.
Yeah.
You got a mountain bike in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Birds.
Yeah, I really should take it out of there. So.
But like making sure you're taking that time to fill up your cup so that you can keep the ship running, whether that's your family or your job or your business, depending on where you're at in there.
There's not a lot of value in hardcore grinding out a problem.
Yeah, that's
right?
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, and my wife and I are probably yin and yang, and she's probably cringing right now because she's the one who will grind it out, right? And she can be really, really good at it, when, especially when the chips are down. But I also watch it take its toll sometimes, and I'm kind of on the other thing where, nope, I'm gonna come back tomorrow and look at this again, and we'll figure something different.
Yeah.
This what we're doing doesn't work, but I'm gonna go do something else. Come back.
I've got a name for that. Everything has its appropriate place. So just figuring out where that is. So when I have a big problem, I'm gonna set aside the appropriate amount of time in the moment. Does this need 30 minutes? Does this need an hour and a half? Whatever. And I'm all in trying to problem solve. And then when I'm done with it, timer goes off and it goes in the fuck it bucket. And it's gonna stay in the fuck it bucket until I get back. And then I'll schedule when I'm gonna follow up on this. And maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it's in 2 days. And it stays in the bucket until then, and I don't care about anything that's in the bucket. And now I've needed to develop that kind of mental tool. It's a list too in a notebook. Because otherwise, like, I just don't sleep. I'll just be up like thinking about everything. So same page. Just got a name for it.
I do it kind of on a legal pad. I have A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
And unless it's on the if it's on the A list, okay, it needs to get done.
Yeah.
But B. C, maybe if I've already gone and done some skiing or something, okay, B, I can deal with this afternoon.
Yeah. I think that's
so.
Cool. Yeah. I think it's the beauty of living in the mountains and playing in the mountains is you can kind of bounce back and forth. Like we don't have to go on vacation to do the things we love to do. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So kind of shifting gears a little bit. You're 70, going on 71, so let's forecast 10 years. We're sitting right here. We just got done climbing in the gym. What's different? What do you think? Like, what do you need to do differently? What do you need to do for the next 10 years to make sure we can still climb when you're 80, going on 81?
Right now, I would say I'm not being as consistent about things that I could be. And so like coming to the gym sometimes, and this certainly was happening a year or two ago, and I injured myself several times in the gym. I go, this is a stupid place to get hurt, right? And but a lot of it was kind of coming in, trying some things hard, having that trying to fulfill some expectation in your brain that you haven't actually prepared for. Right. And it's not that you didn't want to; it's just things got in the way. Christmas came or whatever. Like we're kind of facing now, right? And you go, probably not having too high of expectation at any given moment, and certainly don't have expectations that you haven't prepared for. Because that's once again, it can be a no sweat deal, but if you really haven't put the time in, then you shouldn't expect. Like the first ski tour I went on this year, right, which is first one in a little while, and I used to tour 100 days a year. 10,000 feet, and skied at 20,000 feet and stuff. So the first tour I come back from, I tell my wife right away, I was like, A, I got to lay down and take a nap. B, I got to take a hot tub. And I go, and C, I can tell you that I have discovered muscles in my lower legs that I didn't have any idea still existed. I go, and the only reason I'm having that issue right now, it was actually a little bit of a concern because I was just like, cramping up, and I'm going, I didn't put the time in, you know, and I normally would do, maybe a few ski up the resorts and I did a little bit of skiing around Valley with skins on, but it was like, I didn't have the time in, but I did have a good tour and I did get out. I was definitely hammered. And what was bothering me at the end of the tour were things that if I had put a little more time in, it wouldn't have been a bother at all.
So for you to maintain kind of a high quality of life with a mountain focus on it, you need to make sure you're really consistently putting a little bit more pre-work than you did when you were like 30. You probably could strap on skis and no worries. So one of the biggest changes is I want to tour in December, so it's October. I need to start either hiking up a hill, or as soon as snow hits, I need to start walking around with skis on. Just whatever.
Carry your pack.
Right.
I mean, we do that something. And that's actually, I do that some in the spring for climbing. I put on my climbing pack and I'll go do a local hike, and people go, "Oh, it's a big lunch, right?" And I go, I'm just trying to get, because I know if I'm going to go hike and climb, especially like hiking up to the Diamond, down St. George.
Totally.
It's a big hike. I mean, quite honestly, at times it could just about do you in, right? And you basically got to put that time into that effort so that when you get up there, you're climbing, you're hiking, you're climbing, everything is going to fall into place, the way you want it to.
Totally. I find that fascinating. That's one of the things I like about climbing is you're doing the grand of the day, or even just going up to the Diamond, like. You've got a 30-minute to 3.5 hour hard hike with heavy shit on your back. Just to get there. That's not even the start. So like
exactly.
Before you start, you got a 3-hour hike or a 30-minute hike or whatever, and you got 25, 40 pounds on your back depending on what the mission is. So, the prep work matters. Or
those crazy hikes, because when we saw Cord at the gym, the last time I climbed with him down in Red Rocks. We were up in Brown Canyon.
That's quite a hike.
It was. Let's put it this way: it's a really shitty day all in all. I mean, but it was 2 hours of just really physical hiking. I mean, under stuff, over stuff, blah blah blah. And then we got up there and did some really stupid climb that he picked out. That it was like, we should have never bothered. But so all in all, it was a really long, crazy day, but walked away from it feeling okay. I was there. I was totally
it's beautiful. I've got a funny story from Browns Canyon or Brown Wall up there. My buddy lives in Ohio, Evan, and when I lived out there, he climbed quite a bit because I'd be like, "Brett, we're going to the Red. Come on." And he doesn't climb that much, but he'll still come out and climb with me. And so he's got asthma. He just got off of COVID. So this is like a year or two ago. And we went up to, I forget the name, it's the 5'9" on the right side of the wall. It's like 5 pitches or something. And we hike up. We finally get there. He sits down, lays down, fell asleep for like 20 minutes, woke up, and he's like, "Fuck you." And then walked right back out. I was like, all right, I guess we're not doing it.
It is a very physical hike,
that's sweet. So to wrap things up a little bit, you're in the fourth quarter now. I'd say I'm in the second quarter. So for those of us, second quarter, third quarter, you've got the wisdom of experience. Like what's something that you would tell yourself looking back now? Like, hey, take care of my 70-year-old body. Like, what would that be? Like, is there a message?
I think it really kind of goes back to that 80% unless you're going to die, kind of thing. That don't go so hard time and time again. I mean, like even like training for a race, you don't necessarily, only 10% of your time is really hard time.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. And lots of people, and probably including myself at times, a lot of my training, especially for cross-country races and stuff, was probably at 70% of the time. Mm-hmm. And it's just wrong. It's just, it like you said, you're draining the bucket at that point. And so I think that's really there's that other old saying: you can have hard miles and you can have a lot of miles. You just can't have a lot of hard miles.
Yeah.
And I think that's really true. And I think you gotta just not taper it back, not be excited about it. I think you want to have all those goals and just be a little bit smarter for yourself about how to do it.
Yeah, and I don't think that means not going hard all the time doesn't mean being soft.
No,
not at all. There's intelligent training, so the way I've stepped my training back, because I've dealt with a bunch of injuries, like through my 20s, my 30s have actually been like pretty good. But I've completely shifted. Before, mine was, if I didn't feel like I was dying, I was being a pussy.
Yeah.
And that's actually, if every workout you feel like you're dying, or every session where you're mountain biking, climbing, skiing, whatever, you feel like you're dying, you're being a dumbass, kind of. So create a really big base so you can have a higher peak, and you only come up to the peak when you need to perform for that climb you've been training for, or for that mountain bike race or the Nordic race, or that big mission you've been dreaming about of doing on skis. But I think that's really, really wise to mostly keep it mellow and then go, because if you go hard every time, it's gonna backfire eventually.
Things are gonna come apart, go wrong. Something's gonna happen that, even if it doesn't slow you down right then in your 30s or 40s,
you'll catching your
trust me, trust me, it does catch up.
Yeah. And I actually heard this from one of the kayakers on, I think it's Jimmy Chin's series on Nat Geo, where there's the kayaking, there's the big mountain skiing, rock climbing, and there's one other one. But the kayakers, they were running these gnarly
Class
shots.
6, yeah.
Just didn't look like it should be in there. And the guy said, I'll do all of this once, because I know I can nail it once, but I won't do it 10 times, because I know I'll lose one of those times. And it's like kind of the same theme. It's like, play with fire, but occasionally. Not all the time.
No, it's, mountain biking's like that. You get through some
high consequences.
It has a lot of high consequences, and certainly it's kicked me a few times, but because I always saw everything as rideable. Right? I mean, it's just like, I can do this, right? And it's just, at a certain point, it's like, I shouldn't have done it a second time, should have backed off on that one, should have let that one be. And I have every once in a while, done some things that were what I would call stupid on a bike, that I just sat there and looked at it and went, oh, that was really a bad idea. I'm glad I did that. Now I won't ever do that again. Stop.
Totally.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thanks for the conversation. Thanks for sharing the wisdom, and let's climb more.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, and thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.